Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the YbY Early Learning Community Workshop. And we are well into 2025. So excited for all of the lineups for community workshops. And this one is no different. Um, we have today with us Dee, who is a homeschooler, actually, that I met on Facebook, one of the homeschooling groups, who is also a teacher. So she has a online school as well as an artist and a passion for using creativity to inspire learning, which is how she became a comic co-author with her and her husband. I'm really excited to hear about the evolution of that. And yeah, I mean, tea time, that's how we met, was she has a community platform where other homeschool moms and are able to just come on and have tea and spend time together and flush out their experiences and encourage one another. So she's the right person for the job because I just love her attitude and her mothering and just her family dynamic. So welcome so much, Z, for being here with us this evening.
Yay, thank you
Um,
for having me. And thank you for that wonderful
Absolutely.
introduction. I feel
Yeah.
accomplished.
Well, you are. Oh, and she went to Hampton University.
Yeah, I did.
So
Shout
the
out to
other
HU.
HU.
No, no, not the other, the
I'm just
real.
kidding. I went to Howard, so that's why we're just
I
playing
know that's an inside joke. I get Howard and
around.
HU people know. They know. They know the
um,
battle.
yes. Well, I just want to give a little outline of what I wanted to talk about this evening. And just a brief overview of the workshop goals and the importance of addressing. Really, we want to address literacy challenges, so the literacy crisis, as well as how you are using comics as a creative solution to literacy barriers.
Hmm.
And then supporting early learners, if you can give us some practical, well, she will be giving us some practical tips and techniques and potentially an interactive demonstration. But I was hoping maybe you could talk a little bit more about our campaign for the Black History Month. And then if there are
Definitely.
any questions from our audience. And then also, I want to encourage, if you are watching this in after we film this, if you can email us at info@ybuearlylearning.org if you have additional questions or want to reach out to us on how to collaborate. And then please make sure to share your info as well.
Definitely. Okay, I'll
So
definitely share.
awesome. Well, I would like to just go ahead and talk to you about the literacy crisis. And I know we've discussed a little bit about the challenges of disparity, especially around dyslexia. I thought that was very interesting with the statistics. But I would just like for you to freestyle wherever you want to start in discussing the literacy crisis that you are seeing within the American education.
Okay, definitely. I stay on task with your outline. So I
Oh, that's
have
okay if you don't.
okay, so
It's all
I
right.
have I have a few things that I can share that address the literacy crisis in America, right? And then also sharing a bit about our mission, what we're doing with comic books. We can also touch on, like you said, dyslexia, ADHD, learning challenges, and how comic books can help support those learners. As far as early learners, I can also share our early learning, our early reading projects. So I'll share a little bit from both of our series because we have series for young readers, the emergent readers, elementary school students, and then we have our young adult series. And I've been reading that with kids anywhere from third grade through high school. So just a little bit more background. My original training was in theater, but I was a super nerd all through high school, all through college. So just the written word and understanding the written word, expressing the written word, being able to convey meanings, different levels of meaning through words. That's always been something that's been really important to me. And I joke with my husband because we say that, okay, he was in the comic book shops and I was in the library. So where he was reading comic books all the time, I was devouring novel after novel. So we have two very different experiences when it comes to education and when it comes to the types of content that we consume growing up. I will share the presentation, but I'll give a little bit more background. So we started our online learning center, Flowing River Center for Learning and Development, because we both come from families of educators, right? So teaching's really in our blood. He's a lifelong artist, and I shared a bit about myself. Now I'm writing, I'm drawing, I'm teaching. We're doing a lot of different things. But the inspiration for the comic books and our learning center comes from his educational process and experience. So I have a story that I've written, and I need to stop saying that I need to rewrite it. I probably just release it how it was already written because that's holding me back. So I just need to release it how it's already been done. But they say done is better than perfect. So I think I can share that this week, especially leading into our campaign for February. But the title of the story is A Boy Named Achille. When the comic no, when learning isn't so sweet and kind, because our program used to be called the Sweet and Kind Learning Company. But what it really does is just showing a bit about his journey. Because as a child, like before kindergarten, well, I guess at the kindergarten level, pre-K actually, he was tested to enter kindergarten early. So he tested and they found that he tested at genius level. So he's accepted into preschool at an early age. But by the time he got to second grade, when the standardized test rolled in and, it was a completely different experience. First grade, okay, sorry, correction. First grade, then it was determined because he didn't do well on the test. And there's so many of our kids that just don't do well with tests, right? They just don't do well with standardized tests or even the pressure of sitting through a testing environment. And then when they don't perform well, then it's deemed, oh, they have a learning disorder, or oh, now they need to be placed into a separate situation. They need something different. Um, so special education, I know there have been a lot of changes over the years. I'm not going to go into that too much, but really our goal was to help children not have to go through that, right? So there are a lot of things that come with being labeled as special education and having a learning disability or a learning disorder when really kids learn differently. We're all different. We're all different as humans. And when I know that we use labels so that we can understand and that we can identify a challenge that someone might be facing, but when we put each child in a box and say, oh, now you're this, or now you're that, or now you have this condition, then that affects their psyche and affects their overall educational experience. So that's something that we really, really, really want to prevent. We really want to address, and we really want to help learners of all ages become confident readers, become confident learners, so that they can see the success in life that they really deserve. That's what our Comic Book Genius Project is all about. So yeah, I hope that was a good lead in.
That was an excellent lead
Okay, awesome.
in.
Yay. Okay, so we did
Excellent
that.
lead in.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you guys. So I would like to share. Am I able to share? I think I'm able to share. Okay, so I'm able to share. Let me pull up my file. And this first file is going to be just a little bit about our initiative, the Comic Book Genius Project. And this is something Marpesa and I have been talking about, really being able to bring this to Colorado and do things from a distance, and you guys working with us. And that's really what I'm looking forward to. That's going to be awesome. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, share. Start broadcast. Okay. All right, so I'm sharing my screen. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see it?
Oh, yes. No, I can.
Yes.
Did it show up? Oh, now I
Mm-hmm.
pressed the wrong thing. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Okay. So this is the name of our this you can a community initiative. You know, there's so many different words you use for different things, but our community initiative is the Comic Book Genius Project, and we're on a mission to change the world one comic at a time. Okay, so our first slide. When you have a big problem, okay. So this is my husband's artwork. This is the kind of artwork that you'll see in our not our early reading series, our young adult series at Joy Comics. This is actually from Crimson Hawk issue number 2. I'm excited. We officially had Crimson Hawk issue number 2 complete. So this is going to be a big year for us. I'm just receiving all kinds of awesomeness. And Mr. Javier, this Marpesa and I have been talking. I really wanted to speak with you about helping us translate to Spanish so that we can go, leave
Oh,
America.
that would be awesome. Yeah.
Like, that would be great. We love to work with you. Um, having it in English and Spanish is great for instruction, right? It's really great for teaching English to Spanish speakers, and it's really great to teach Spanish to English speakers. So I think that'd be really cool, and we would love to get our books, quote unquote, south of the border, right? But then even and there's so many communities here in America now that most of us aren't native English speakers. I was talking to Marpesa about that too. Just ancestrally, English, most of us is not our language. So technically, we could all be considered ESL, English as a second language. But that's another discussion too when it gets into dyslexia and kids being able to process, like even we're trained to read from what left to right, right? We're trained to read left to right. That's how English goes. But not all languages go from left to right, So sometimes that can be challenging for kids. All right, so here are some statistics. All right, so many students are struggling, frustrated, and disengaged, especially after COVID, especially after everything shut down. There's a huge gap in the reading. There was a huge gap in the learning, and it has affected all levels. I've worked with children of all races from different backgrounds, families who have money, families who don't have money, and that has definitely affected us all. However, it would be totally untrue if I didn't say that minority communities and lower income communities were not affected even more, right? So there was already a gap, but now that gap has widened even more. So, as of the time of creating this presentation, approximately 40% of students across the nation cannot read at a basic level. 54% of adults have a literacy below sixth grade level. 67% of low-income fourth grade students cannot read at a basic level. 61% of low-income families have no books at all in their homes for their children. And 37% of children arrive at kindergarten without the skills necessary for lifetime learning. So these statistics really mean a lot. So even the fact of having no books in the home, that's a huge part of early literacy. That's a huge part of learning, is really having books to read with your children and having books to allow them to explore and get used to them and see the pictures, see the letters, really immersing them in reading. So if they live in a situation where there are no books, then they're at a huge disadvantage. And that's one of the things that we really want to do is get with sponsors and companies that can help support us in getting books out to the community so kids can have these books. A quick story, we didn't speak. We're invited to attend a red ribbon program at an elementary school in Augusta, Georgia, a few years ago. And the gentleman who was the keynote speaker, he spoke about how he had struggled with reading as a child. And this was before they started really assigning, really screening and saying, oh, dyslexia or ADHD or learning. They might say that you have a learning disorder or challenge or a disability, but not really digging into deep as to why and what the problem is. But he asked the students, and we were in a little gym and the bleachers were full, and he asked the kids, raise your hand if reading stresses you out, or if, reading makes you nervous, if reading is hard for you. And every one of those kids raised their hands. Every one of those kids. And I found out later that, what was the percentage, babe? Like less than 10%? Yeah, they were at, for the whole school, they were at less than 10% of the students reading at grade level for the whole school. So, and they were a Title I school, and they were in, an impoverished area. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? It doesn't have to be that way. So when you have a big problem, you need an epic solution. Say hi to Crimson Hawk. He's here to help save the day. So this is our comic book genius. These are our highlights. So we're on a mission to shift the paradigm of illiteracy in America. Through exciting stories, riveting artwork, and engaging educational experiences, we can help transform a generation of students into lifelong readers, learners, and artists. So we have our epic comic books and short stories with a sound moral compass. And these are written, our young adult series is really written at a high school level, but I use it as a tool with our younger learners to help boost vocabulary. And even so many high school students aren't necessarily reading at a high school level right now. So it's actually proven to be an amazing tool to really boost reading skills, get kids excited. Even if they don't know what the words are, they want to know what the words are because they want to read the story. And that's been really, really cool. And another part of this, we're working on a touring art exhibits, community reading challenges. We do workshops, classes, and clubs, and really celebrating the use of comic books as a key to unlocking genius and exceptional minds, especially youth with symptoms of dyslexia, ADHD, and autism. So here we have the hurricane and Miss Elemental. Destiny is calling. It's time for us to fly. We've got to do this, guys. We've got to work together. So this is a picture of myself and my husband at our first Comic-Con. So we've also been presenting at, we've presented at a couple Comic-Cons now. So that was pretty cool. These are our 4 issues of our young adult series that we have available now. A Joy Comics universe that delves into our characters, background stories, really cool stuff to help you really get into our universe. And the kids have really, really been loving it. And I'm not just saying this because I'm the writer and my husband's the artist. Like, really, we've made this a part of our life's work. Well, it is our life's work now. I will say yes, this is our life's work.
I
Joy
love it.
Comics and our Learning Center. Yay, thank you. I've just been talking. Did y'all want to say anything or ask anything?
I did want to ask because, I mean, the percentage of children that aren't kindergarten ready, like the basics for being kindergarten ready, could you
hmm
expound on maybe like the most important one
The most
that
important skills. Okay, let me see.
mhm,
Okay, let me look
for
it up
kids to
real
be
quick.
ready
For
to school?
kindergarten readiness, I know that they want, so one thing that I'll say about this too, I'm a big proponent that all children can learn, but they may learn differently. So there are milestones and things that have been set in place for where the educational system wants to see our children, right? In some places, they don't even start teaching reading until they're 7. So developmentally, every child may not be ready for their letters and their sounds at 3 and 4 years old. It's very possible. But we still want to be exposing them to these things. And that's one of the
Mhm.
reasons that we homeschool too, is so that our children can work at a pace that is good for them. But I'm going to do the kindergarten readiness skills. Let me pull it up real quick because I didn't have that. You got me on my toes.
I love the idea
Marpesa.
of the peripheral learning that they get, by being exposed to material and letters and things that catch their attention.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's different to learn from a book that, I don't know, from the perspective of a kid looks boring,
Mm-hmm.
compared to something that is way more appealing to what they like, right? Like a comic, it's like
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yay, thank you. Thank you,
Me
Mr. Javier. I
too.
appreciate it. Because even in the research, so I did some time. That doesn't sound right. I spent some time working on my master's degree in educational leadership, but I paused because it just wasn't in keeping with my overall goals. Like, they were really training me to run like a public school. So I was like, okay, that's not what we're here for. But one thing that we really did work on was, research and took a lot of time to research comics and education. and the research that goes behind the use of comics in education for visual literacy, visual learning, especially for students with special needs. So it's super research backed. And if you're not engaging the child, then there's not really learning going on. It can't really happen. They need to want to do it. Which is, oh, never mind. I was gonna go on a tangent. Never mind. Okay. So kindergarten readiness checklist recites the alphabet, identifies uppercase letters, identifies lowercase letters, matches uppercase to lowercase letters. Some people have said now that kindergarten's the new first grade. They've changed a lot what they're expecting.
Mm.
Um, Matches uppercase to lowercase letters. In writing, can trace letters and numbers, write some letters, experiments with a variety of writing tools and materials, can write their first name, draw pictures or scribbles to communicate ideas, copy simple and complex shapes, initiates the act of writing. So, even when they're not really writing words, they look at this. This is my note for you, mom and daddy. Um, Reading readiness, listens to read aloud stories, shows interest in reading related activities, recognizes that pictures or print carry messages, understands left. What did you say? Say it again, Marpesa.
No, I just said off. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Understands left to right movement of reading. So there's that piece too, right? Because we can be programmed to read either way. So that's where things can get tricky. Understands left to right movement of reading, identifies the front and back of books, can hold the book correctly, retells information from a story, predicts what will happen next in the story, can sequence 3 pictures to tell a story, matches rhyming pictures. Okay, so that's for reading. So then there's listening skills, there's verbal skills, and then that goes into math and things like that and motor skills. But I think we can share, I can get a copy of something like this or put one together that we can share as a resource.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think this is a good like transition to even talk about what we'd like to do for Black History Month in terms of promoting literacy as well as healthy eating, and then also combining the comics and what we were planning on doing. I think that would also be a good uh, tool. I mean, good material, I guess, collateral we can use
Yeah,
to families about how to prepare their early learning.
yeah, that'd be perfect. Okay, look, I need to write that down. Okay, I'm not in the writing down space right
I,
now, so I'll remember. So, and I
Okay,
didn't
cool.
want to stay, I didn't want to stay too long, but I think that we shared a nice amount. Our goals for February, and I'd love to do this again. We can talk about a lot of different things.
yeah.
Even have you work with you guys to do like our community reading community reading initiative. Mayor Pace and I were speaking about doing stuff for different age groups, doing something for the early learning once a month, something for the elementary students, and then heading into like middle school.
That would be awesome. I also love the concept that you were talking about of how kids learn out of things that are relevant for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all do, right? Like I don't think that cease when we age. Maybe we just build up mechanisms and where we like store information that maybe not that relevant for us in the future. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I believe that when as an easy teacher and ESL teacher, I remember that one of the best ways of teaching kids language was just like, going into the garden and say like, hey, can you pass me the pumpkin seeds, right? So like they were learning, oh, those are pumpkin seeds, and it's because you make it relevant. So when you get their attention by something as cool as a comic, it's relevant, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for music, it's different if you go to a music class where everything feels a little contrived into this teacher just asking you to read music, which is very important. But for me, that comes after you learn to love and engage in music.
Mm-hmm. And really get a feel for it, understand it. And it seems like so much of the learning, like I said, that's a whole different conversation that we can have another time. But just how modern education system has been set up is not necessarily conducive to the way we naturally learn. Okay,
Right.
that was a good way to say it. Okay, I like that. Okay, that was a good way to say it. But I would like to go over because I can't stay too long, but I would like to touch on what we're doing for February. So we have our early learning series. I'm going to share. Okay, so we see this. Oh, wait, let me open it up. So our early learning series, we have a whole series about the letters of the alphabet. Okay, let me see. So for each day of February, as we're working to help get our babies ready for school, and you want to help get them together, right? And we want to support parents. I'm scrolling through. I almost scrolled too fast. But this is Android Comics Junior issue number 1. So we'll look for issue number 2 this summer. But I'm using these are our stories and our different characters to really develop learning materials for curriculum for the early learners who are learning their letters and their sounds, all the way up to third graders where we're working on the more advanced reading skills and higher level phonics. They say that leading up to third grade, oh, here are super vowels. Leading up to third grade, you're reading to learn. After third grade, wait, no, you're up to third grade, you're learning to read. After third grade, you're reading to learn. And so that's a really pivotal time. That's why they test at the fourth grade level. And you'll see statistics that say, okay, fourth graders aren't meeting this, yada, 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 because that's a really pivotal time in the school system where now they're no longer teaching you how to read. Now you're expected to read and comprehend well. And that's when you'll see a lot of students will begin having issues when they get to fourth grade because things have changed so much. But these are our super vowels. So we're going to have a letter of the day. Marpesa is going to be sharing an alphabet of healthy eating. And each day there'll be a printable activity, a coloring page, and there's just like a little blurb, a little tiny story for each letter. So these are our super vowels. They're here to save the day, and they have their alter egos that emphasize their short vowel sounds. So the long A sound, he's super A. His alter ego is Adam, the accountant. Super E is, I want to say Eleanor. Why can't I remember her name right now? Eleanor, but she's an educator. That's her secret identity. Super I, he is an investigator. No, an inspector. That's his secret identity. He's an inspects other things, including ice cream. And Super O is an opera singer. Super U is an umpire. And Super Y, she's like, don't forget about me. I'm sometimes a vowel, but I'm a vowel nonetheless. So Super Y, she's into yarn. She's a yarnologist, but she likes to knit. So these are our stories. So we'll be sharing more of these letters. So we have a illustration for every letter of the alphabet. They have a tiny little story, and that'll be what we're sharing for February for our early learners. And then we'll also have activities and stories from our young adult series as well. So that no matter the age of the child, parents can have some resources from us. Oh no, let me stop sharing. That's not what I meant to share. Have you all in my files. But I think that's
Oh,
it. That's what I
yay.
wanted to share.
Yes, yes. Thank you so, so much for, outlining all of that in addition to like just hyping it up for what we're planning to collaborate on for February. And yeah, if you need to drop off, totally fine. We'll make sure that this is recorded and that we get this into you so you can also share with your network.
Yay,
Um,
awesome.
yeah, but we can't wait to continue to work together and just continue to really reflect inclusive education the
Hmm.
way that we say we want to.
Hmm.
Just making the action steps toward it, and you have just been doing so much and making such great strides that we just can't wait to also help support that and spread the word here in Colorado.
Well, I'm so thankful. I'm really happy that we've been able to connect, and I know there's just going to be super, super awesome things on the way this year
Uh-huh.
and beyond.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So yeah, I did my homework and there are 26 letters with different foods, herbs, teas,
That's
some
good.
soul food, that healthy soul food. So I'm really excited to talk to you more about that. And Mr. Javier, thank you so much for jumping on the line as well. And um, yeah, let's just continue to make this a great year and make sure that our kids are being the best that they can be, not only just in the educational space, but also in the social emotional
Mm-hmm.
motivation, enthusiasm,
Mm-hmm.
body image, all of those things, and empowering our parents to be okay and encourage that they can thrive no matter the situation.
Right
So,
on.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I'm gonna go ahead and actually close it out because
Okay, very
that
good.
was so jam packed. I don't think we need to drag it on right now. Maybe just be ready to maybe hopefully we whet your palate for what's to come. Um, but our next session will be February 4th, and we'll be talking about ECE and childcare options that no, actually we're going to be doing the family act so that families know how to utilize those benefits and also see how that might change with the administration. And then on the 25th of January, we'll be talking about early learning and childcare options in lieu of what we have right now as a CCAP for youth in both Denver County and I believe Rockland. So be marking your calendars for that. And until we meet again, I hope you all have a great evening. And yeah, continue to just check us out at www.ybylearning.org. Have a good night.
Awesome. Oh, and I'll throw in, you can find us at Adroit, that's ADROIT comics.com.
Yes, please.
Mhm.
And it's time to get physical comic books, so we'll be doing that.
Yeah, we're gonna get all the books. Let's
We
go.
sure are.
Sponsors, just send us all your money so we can buy books and send them to all the kids. And we'll send them
Absolutely.
all over the world, right? That's our goal.
Yes. Unapologetically ask for sure.
I
It's
know
for a
that's
great
right.
cause.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
right. Well, we
But
will see
thank you
you
guys.
You. It was a
All
real
right.
pleasure to be
if you're on
here.
the East
Um,
Coast.